What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're league racing again. It's AOR Austria, round number 9 I believe it is, for season 3 of AOR Oceania. Pretty crazy that we're 3 seasons in now. It feels like only yesterday that this whole league only started up, about a year ago. It started up in like the first or second week of January in 2017. And here we are, season 3, just 1 year later. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, here we are for the Austrian Grand Prix. Standings wise, not looking great. You guys know that. We missed many races. We've had a couple of DNFs as well to go with that. It's been a bit of a disaster season. We had the pace in the first few rounds. Never got a chance to show it with the circumstances that happened. Now I'm back, and albeit my luck is probably a little bit better now, but my pace is still not there after having the break. So we'll see how it goes. Heading into this one, I didn't get as much practice as what I would have liked. I vastly misjudged how much time I had on Sunday afternoon. I was actually recording F1 2006 yesterday, and then I was like, oh, I've only got an hour and a half or an hour to practice before this race. So that was the practice that I got. But to be fair, Austria, it's not many corners, it's not very technical. It's very easy to catch up and make up the difference. And I feel like I did that for the most part. The pace this weekend was pretty good, despite being in 10th place at the moment. We went out on a sort of soft compound tyres, the hardest compound, because we're going to be qualifying on the supers. Everyone is qualifying on supers, with the exception of the 2 Williams. So Greek Master and Fens, they've opted for the ultra soft tyre, but their race pace is going to be really bad. Their race strategy is going to be really compromised as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare against most of the field, or most of the front runners, shall I say, opting for super soft tyres. You can see right now I am on the ultra softs. I just thought I'd have a go and see what the pace would be like. I was a 10th away from provisional pole at the time, heading into the middle sector, but I didn't want to qualify on the ultras. I wanted to be on the winning strategy, that being like what most of the pack was doing, so there was no discrepancies with how my race would play out. So we're going to play on the super soft tyres and work our way through the field. There will be like quite a few people who are qualifying on ultras, maybe some of the midfield runners, so they may get track position if they get a good time in, or if our lap time isn't quite good enough, but hopefully that isn't the case and we don't have too much traffic to negotiate in the race. But here we go for our fastest lap. This is the attempt on the super soft tyres. When you're on this strategy on F1 2018, it makes it a one-shot qualifying. So everyone who is on this strategy with me as well, we all wait until the end of the session for the track to be at its optimal. And here we go. This is our only opportunity. If we don't get this time in, we start last. So it's quite risky, but it does pay off. Qualifying on the super soft tyres, it is the best strategy around here. 2 tenths up as we go through the first 3 corners, heading into the back part of the circuit here. Get down into 3rd gear, 2nd briefly, and short shifting back up into 3rd. You'll notice that's what a lot of the pro drivers use, a short shift up to just minimize the wheel spin and keep the flow going as much as possible through to this left-hander. I've turned in a little bit too early there, and the back end slid out a little bit too much, and you can see we're actually going to lose about 2 tenths on the run into the penultimate couple of corners. These 2 corners are absolutely fantastic when you get them right. A little bit conservative, I won't lie, because I wanted to get the time in, and ran in a little bit too deep into the final corner, but otherwise it was a good time. But when you look at the leaderboards, we're still in 15th place. We are still in 15th place despite putting in what is a pretty decent qualifying lap. I looked up and I was like, is that a glitch? I put in a good time and I'm 15th. Like, is there a leaderboard glitch or something? But no, that's the time we got. So I'm in at 4.6. If you are in the low 4s on supers, that's a really good time. We lost 2 tenths in that middle sector and a little bit conservative into the last 2 corners. So that was probably where the time was lost for me there. So it's going to be 15th place. We're still going to qualify or start the race on the supers. Believe it or not, starting on the supers, even at the back, is not bad, because we're on fresh supers versus everyone else. So this will be an interesting second half of the race for us if we can get through the traffic. 5 red lights, and away we go for this Austrian Grand Prix. I'm going to see if I can make up a few positions off the start. A lot of people at the back tend to be a little bit conservative, and I'm going to see if I can play on that as much as I can without taking too much risk on this opening lap. So, clean start so far. Laggy person, living up to his name there, almost wiping us out there if he didn't ghost there. Heading into turn 2, or turn 3 technically, up the inside of Laggy person. Neon Trudome is on the outside there, so make well sure that I didn't make contact with him, otherwise that could have been game over for us. It's very easy to make contact and have the car in front spin out. The contact model or lag is very sensitive. That's Neon overshooting turn 4 I think it was. So he's going to drop down to last, unfortunately. But for us, it's been a clean start, 3 positions gained, and we really haven't had to work too hard to do it. Now let's have a look at the start for New Zealand. Ryan, my teammate, starting from P9 on the super soft tyres. Away we go. A few cars wiggling off the line there. They were very eager to get going, shall we say, but into turn 1, Ryan's got a little bit of space on the outside to make use of. Turns to nothing really, as he has to tuck back in behind Jared. So he gains 1 place out of that. I think he gets past Drop Bear. But heading into turn 3 here, Drop Bear goes for a bit of a lunge back, a bit of a yeet up the inside on his ultra soft tyres. Ryan is a bit boxed in. Has to let him go back through, but it's a bit of a side-by-side affair for the two of them on the back straight, and Ryan comes out on top in the end there. So nice and conservative from Ryan, just doing what he needs to do. He has the pace. He will have the tyre wear and the flexibility of the strategy like we will later on in the race, so he recognises that and is playing himself into the race quite nicely. Here's another move from him, up the inside of Roscoe Arm into turn number 3, lap 2. Job done. Jared making nice progress as well. So all these ultra soft runners are going to be fading away very quickly in this race. I don't know how long their tyres are going to be good for. I haven't actually done any race practice this time around, especially not on the ultras. So it's a bit of a question mark to see how this is all going to go for me. I'm going around the outside of Quicksilver here into the middle sector. Still side by side there. He's got the better tyres, but we should be able to make this stick if we get it nicely done, and we do so. That's P11 for us, so there we go. So yeah, I hadn't done much race practice. I did a little bit of qualifying practice, so all I've really got to go on is what my mates in the party are saying with the race strategy, so I've got full faith in them that it's going to work out for me. But here goes Ryan, another position on DLG Gamble. He makes that move stick for P6. Next up is Jared, so Ryan and Jared quickly coming at Greek Master and Fens here. This is myself getting escorted wide by Quicksilver, who came from the moon to lunge me to no avail. So that was a bit frustrating. We lost touch with Warden and also Drop Bear there, so had to reclaim that few seconds there that we lost, and now we'll see what we can do. Drop Bear running wide at turn 4. We might be able to get him in the next lap or so, depending on how he takes this third sector, but that's a 3-second time penalty for us. Third warning. It was just a lazy few track limits warnings I got in the early stages of this race, which was really disappointing. I wasn't really pushing, which was the most frustrating thing about getting the penalty so early on in this race. We're going to go up the inside of Drop Bear here into turn 3. I think I've gone in a little too deep here, run out a little bit too wide. He might get the switch back on us, and he does, so it's going to be a side-by-side affair here on this back straight. Drop Bear has the DRS, so we're going to get this done by using our fuel, using our battery, and using the tyres at this point in the race to get the job done. We leave him a little bit of space on the outside, and that is us up in a P10. So nice move from us there. We need to keep moving forward. As I keep overtaking cars, Warden keeps finding positions as well, so we're, I don't know, it's kind of a tag team, taking turns to overtake people, but I'd love to be a little bit closer to Warden if possible. So hopefully we can make quick work of Roscoe here. He seems to be lagging a little bit, so let's dispatch him as early as we can. Up the inside into turn 1. That was very, very late on the brakes. Maybe went in a little bit too deep, because it's going to leave us a little bit vulnerable on the run into turn 3. Just the momentum just wasn't quite there from the exit from us, and we're going to have to go defensive into turn 3. Held him up a little bit through the midpoint of the apex. Got a nice exit though, and that should be that position sorted, so job done. Next up is DLG Gamble. After that, I think Warden is up next. He's got a bit of a gap to one of the Salbers, who I think is Pres BC. So it maybe a little bit of time before we see Warden again. But following on board with my teammate, HO has had a spin, and it looks like he's taken out DRC Jared in the process. Ryan is gone out of this race as well. Jared is actually fully out of this race. Ryan is still going though. I'm not too sure what the damage situation is for HO. Looks like he's coming back onto the circuit now, and we have to give the position back. What? Are you serious, game? HO was stuck on the side of the circuit, and you're telling me that that's an illegal overtake. He had no momentum. What a joke. Alright, let's, we need to bring up some replays. That was something. Some serious crap went down there, so we need to go back, have a look, analyze. My teammate is into the pits now for a change of front wing. That is very, very dicey as to whether he's going to make it to the end of the race now on the softs. I think the Ultra Run, a lot of the Ultra Runners still haven't even come in yet for their softs, so I don't know what the deal is for Ryan, but this is what caused it all. This is what caused the incident between HO, Ryan, and Jared. I think Greekmaster broke early. Fens responded by braking early and trying to not run into the back of him. And then HO got caught out, lost a bit of his front wing, and then he went to the infield, spun out, and came back into the path of all those guys. So it was a very messy situation. I think HO just said he thought the car was going to go round, so he tried to spin the wheels to fully rotate the car and not come back on track, but the opposite happened, which was, you know, really unfortunate for all involved, to be honest. I've now got to serve a stop-go penalty, which is going to cost me 5 seconds in the pit lane in my stop, and that's going to put me out of contention for... I'm not going to win the race, I don't think. I don't think I have the pace to win today. I think it might put me out of contention now for the podium. We'll have to wait and see. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run long in this first stint and pray that there's some kind of virtual safety car or full-on safety car that saves me in this race. Maybe I could pit under safety car and then the penalty doesn't get applied in the pit stop. It might get applied post-race and then I might be able to get it removed. But that's a massive long shot, to be honest. Ryan is now flying on his fresh soft compound tyres. He makes quick work of the midfield runners. Everyone else is now stopped, and now I lead the race after starting in pretty much last place. So I thought I'd give the stream a bit of a salute in case they were watching me, which I don't think they were. But anyway, that's Warden. He made a spin at the last corner. So he lost 2 or 3 seconds there in that little altercation. I'm trying to stretch out my tyres now because, like I said, I'm going to rejoin way down the order after my 5-second stop-go. You can see there's a big train of cars behind the Force India on the back straight. I'll zoom in on it now. With my 5-second penalty, I'll be 5 seconds behind Warden, who's the pink dot, but that'll put me right in that pack. So I didn't want to do that, so that's why I'm stretching out my tyres for another lap or two so that I rejoin behind that pack, but on much fresher soft compound tyres. I hope that makes sense, because if there's a safety car, we are massively in the game. This is how I save my race, because at the moment I'm out of the game because I'm serving 5 seconds. I'm not going to make up that time naturally. I have to hope that there's a safety car now to get me back in this. So it's very unfortunate. Without the 5-second stop go, I would have stopped a lap or two ago, and I would have been right there, or maybe even in front of Warden after he had that spin. But that's not the case. We're going to rejoin on the circuit. It's going to be P12, so it looks really bad at the moment, but everyone who started on the Ultras is going to be massively slower than us. We're going to pass them all, and oh, that's drop bear gone. That's unfortunate. And the people who started on the softs still need to make another stop, so it's not quite as dire as what it looks like now. I think we can come back and maybe get like P5 or something, depending on how it goes. We might be best of the rest behind, you know, Ryan and Warden maybe. If Ryan can get to the end of the race, he might be doing a 2-stop, depending on his tyre wear. But yeah, this is our fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 7.0, not too bad. Could go a little bit faster. I don't think that fastest lap was too flash either, but Otherwise, the consistency is dragging us along towards the midfield runners. Roscoe Arm is up next, and there's a virtual safety car.
Virtual safety car has been deployed.
Okay.
Keep a positive delta here. Slow down. Maintain a positive delta.
Let's pause that. I think Rain is out of the race now. We'll see what happens to him on board. Neon Trudome spins out and then rejoins
That looked bad. Are you
on
alright?
the circuit to completely demolish him from this race. This gives me flashbacks to China, where Brock does stuff,
Reduce your pace.
rejoined the circuit just like that, and took us out of that race. That is very, very unfortunate. And unfortunate in many ways that there wasn't a full-on safety car. Otherwise, we would have been back in the game there. But, yeah, we got to get on with the race now. 10 laps to go. Roscoe Arm is up next. I was actually at the time holding back just ever so slightly because I actually thought that he was going to be stopping again. I didn't realize that he was on the Ultras and already stopped, so I had to then get on with it a little bit and burn up the rest of my fuel. I had a lot of fuel in reserve in this race. I was saving a lot at the early point in the race, and now I'm starting to unleash that pace as we go on the attack now on Roscoe Arm. That's up the inside into the penultimate corner, P7. Next up is Prez BC. DLG Gamble is up there as well. So there's a good couple of places we can still get there in the remaining 7 laps. These guys have been on their tyres for almost 20 laps. So they're starting to feel the effects of tyre wear now, and we're feeling it too on our tyres, to be honest, but the 5-lap fresher tyres, whatever they are, is certainly making a difference at this point. You can see these two squabbling away quite hard. I'm just hoping that they sort it out quickly so I can find a way past. It's almost like a blockade when two people are battling so hard like this. You can't find a way past unless a mistake is made. So we'll see if we can force an overtake soon. We've got a lot of fuel to play with still, 0.6 to go. We're going to stick it in lean and hopefully, you know, just look after the tyres, save the battery a little bit while we're stuck behind these guys, and then wait for the right opportunity. We seem to be really strong out of turn 1. It's a strong point for us, so we'll see if we can set up a move into turn 3 if we can. Really slow in, fast out. We basically pushed DLG Gamble on the exit of turn 1, and now it's going to be a side-by-side on the run-in to turn 3 here. So we're going to go around the outside, see if we can get the switchback on him. He goes in a little bit too deep. We're going to do the switchback, and we might get Prez BC here in the process as well, and that will be a double overtake. 2-in-1 go, P5. Thank you very much. And it's going to be a solid 10 points for us in this Austrian Grand Prix. And for the remaining laps, I was just cruising, bringing it home to the finish. The gap, believe it or not, is 5 seconds to Warden up ahead. Well, it's 7.5, but that was pretty much the difference. That was the difference, the 5-second stop go. If not for that, we would have been right there with those guys. We wouldn't have had to squabble with other people, get held up in traffic, what have you. It would have been a nice affair to be battling with those two for the podium, but it wasn't to be. Warden showed good pace this weekend. He's been off form ever since F1 2018 came out. Looks like he's starting to show some potential now with his pace, but for us it's P6. We had one more penalty than what I think DLG Gamble did, or maybe he had none and he jumped us to get P5 in the end there. So that was the Austrian Grand Prix. The pace, I think, was good. Even though, on paper, you may not say it was great. We qualified P15. The margins at this circuit were so close in qualifying. If I find 410s, which I easily could have done, I would have been right up there with the likes of Ryan and Jared. And who knows what would have happened if we qualified on the Ultras. But, you know, Greek Master Fens, they did a good job. I mean, they were limping home on their old tyres. So it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened if not for that incident where we all got tangled up in some way by the Jared and the HO incident. We would have been a lot closer, and they would have been under serious pressure in the dying laps of that race. But it wasn't to be. Congrats to those guys for keeping it out of trouble, making their tyres last to the end. They just seem to be getting the rub of the green at the moment with all the luck. So hopefully that can turn around for some of us who are in the challenging pack. But guys, that's been this video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed some awesome moments in that race. So many side-by-side action, double overtake, lunges, overtakes, drama, crashes. I think this race just about had it all, except for that bloomin' safety car. When is that going to make an appearance in league racing? I don't know. And same with the weather. We haven't had a wet race this season. Wet session either. It's interesting because F1 2017 was littered with wet races. But anyway, that's it for today. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.